Some of the most recent leaks are suggesting that the iPhone 17 series might be 8K. And when I say that, you probably think I mean 8K resolution, when in reality, I actually mean 8,000 won. Let's begin. So yeah, this is not an unheard of report, because there's been many times in the past where it's been suggested that this year they're finally going to allow 8K video, and the truth is, they've actually been capable of adding it for quite some time. You don't really need that many megapixels to hit an 8K resolution. You basically just need a pretty fast processor that's capable of writing data that quickly, which of course iPhones have had very fast, very capable processors for years. And honestly, the 48 megapixel sensor is plenty. Like, they have more resolution than they need to support 8K video recording, and yet years have gone by and Apple has chosen not to support it. And the whole joke at the beginning of the video is basically because all these news articles and YouTube videos came forward saying, hey, 8K is rumored thanks to this one Weibo account, but it turned out that when directly translated, they were just referring to the cost of the iPhone 17 series, saying that it will basically cost the similar price of the last generation iPhones of 8,000 won. People just saw 8K and thought that means 8K resolution is confirmed, it's happening. No, it's certainly not, but it definitely made me think about how, we haven't talked for a while about whether or not it's worth having. In years prior, I've often said 8K video is kind of overkill, pretty unnecessary, especially on a phone. Most people don't even notice that they're recording in 4K or 1080p these days, and especially for the kind of content that you're viewing on a phone, that means that the sensor is going to be very limited in size, and the lens can only capture so much light. We use all of these computational tricks to make it look like we're getting as much quality and rich detail as we can out of a video, but at the end of the day, it is still a smartphone, and there's just some inherent built-in limitations with that. But as we're chugging through 2025, I gotta admit, I've reached a point where I'm like, screw it, let's just throw everything at the wall. Truthfully, I think we've spent way too much time this year just talking about what is the different iPhone in the lineup. Like, yeah, the 17 Air probably won't be like any other iPhone in the past because it's big and razor thin, but all of that has kind of distracted us from the fact that the regular, 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max don't sound all that interesting. It's basically gonna be same size screen as before, maybe a tiny of a fraction thinner bezel around the edge, and the camera bump is getting bigger. I wanted the visor design, but somehow they found a way to keep their old design language with the stovetop and have a massive gargantuan camera bump, and it's been rumored that they're finally going to switch the telephoto lens to be 48 megapixels as well, meaning you'll have a 48 megapixel sensor for ultra-wide, main, and telephoto, which should allow for some incredible zooming capabilities, because now you can really pinch in on that 48 megapixel sensor and still retain a lot of that resolution, meaning you'll probably be able to retain a 12 megapixel image even when you're at 10x zoom. Apple will consider it optical. We could kind of argue whether or not it's truly optical. It's really just kind of digital zoom on a really big sensor, but that did make me wonder if, Apple is running out of features, ProMotion is supposed to be coming to the entry-level, cheapest iPhone 17 this year as well. So already there's going to be fewer and fewer reasons for people to justify spending more money on a Pro. I've seen those comments many times over the past few years. People saying, if I could get that high refresh rate display on a cheaper iPhone, then I wouldn't buy a Pro, and Apple probably knows that. So how do they convince people to keep speccing up for the Pro? Some think there would be a big boost in battery life, but remember, the C1 chip is not supposed to be coming to the Pros this year. So if there is any battery boost, it's just going to come from a physically larger battery on the inside. There's still going to be Qualcomm modems. With all of the new tariffs and import fees that are coming to our country, I wouldn't be surprised if the 17 Pro and Pro Max go up $100 this year. So essentially what I'm saying is they need every kind of tech-specky, nerdy, geeky feature they can to try to justify these increasingly more expensive iPhones, when the cheaper iPhones, and honestly, last year's iPhones, are just getting so dang good. So while in the videos in the past I've said 8K is overkill for a phone, just focus on having better 4K, better dynamic range, just better bit rates and better quality, improving ProRes, improving the log codec and that type of thing. This year, I'm actually changing my mind a bit and saying, you know what? If you're gonna have 3 lenses that are all capable of 8K recording recording because they're all 48 megapixels. And that means with the new and improved A19 chips that they're putting in these Pro phones, that's going to be a lot of performance, a lot of read and write speed. I say just full send it. I don't care if it's a smartphone. You should be able to record 8K from all 3 lenses, and I want it at 60 FPS. It's 2025. Apple needs some flexing to show off how capable their cameras can be. These would be absurdly sharp, incredibly high resolution. You could punch in post, stabilize it after the fact, and still have a 4K video. Basically, this would mean you could record things in action mode and keep it all very stable, and still have a really high frame rate and resolution. And the techies out there might appreciate that a bit more than the iPhone 17 Air, which is just going to be thin and light and only have one single camera on the back. Kind of hard to get excited about if you're a camera enthusiast, and that's why you use a Pro iPhone. So as the displays are going to be less and less of a selling point for the Pros now, I think they should really double down on the camera and cover all of these extreme edge cases. I'm not trying to say that everybody needs 8K video in their pocket, but the Galaxy S20 was capable of recording 8K video, guys, and that was like 5 years ago. We know Apple is capable of doing it on the iPhone. Maybe they were just waiting for all 3 lenses to support it so that when you switched to 8K, you didn't lose some of those lens options. They thought that would make it feel like an inferior experience or confuse users into, hey, what happened to my zoom out and zoom in buttons? Now there's really no excuse. So if we see them add a 48 megapixel sensor this year and they still don't add 8K, then we'll know Apple probably just has some, I don't know, spiritual thing against resolution that high. They're like, okay, this is getting ridiculous, and they'll probably never support it if they don't add it this year. So final warning, maybe throw in some like 4K at 240 FPS options, or maybe let people record 6K at 120 FPS, that kind of thing. This is really the only direction the Pro iPhones can go in, right? They can't really make them thinner. People want their big juicy battery life, and you need the cameras to be constantly improving each year, because now they're not going to be able to brag about 120 hertz anymore. But feel free to let me know what you think the Pro iPhones should do down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Shape here, and I will see you on the next one.